The second Uber Driver Advisory Board is now history. Let's talk about it. Welcome everyone, Mark here with Uber Hints. And if you got the same email I did, you know that the second Driver Advisory Forum has come and gone. And I do want to look at the email, and I am going to give my opinion. And here's what it says: building together at our second Driver Advisory Forum. Now, the first thing that I always question is, how are they making the selections? How are they determining who comes to this forum? Because as far as I know, all of the high-profile Uber-tubers have not gone to it. Wouldn't you think if they had something really, really important to share, that they would utilize people that have the platform to reach out and communicate with others? Now, I'm not talking about me. I'm a minor player in this game, but I'm talking about the really big channels that have large followings. As far as I know, I haven't heard that any of them have yet been invited. I could be wrong. If I am, please leave your comment down below. Throughout the events, more than 175 Uber employees were able to better understand what matters to you most and are taking the feedback and suggestions back to their teams. Across national and local forums, we heard some common themes. So let's stop right there. Okay, anybody, what do you think would be the primary thing they would hear from people? Right, I agree with you. Money. So keep that in mind. We'll come back to it. 175 Uber employees. I don't know if that implies there were 175 forums. I don't know. Were there 17 Uber employees at 10 forums? They're not really telling us a whole lot here, are they? They're also not telling us how many drivers were represented. So here are some common themes. Make the driving experience smoother. Things like tricky pickups and navigation problems can make driving with Uber stressful. We need to prioritize product features that make your time behind the wheel hassle-free. Okay, I can be on board with that. We've all had those times when weird things have happened with our locations, right? I just heard from someone, I don't remember if it was in a comment or an email, but they talked about, all it said is get them by the pinpoint. And they really couldn't figure out how to get to the pinpoint. Well, I don't know if they couldn't figure it out, but it was a lot more work to get there than just following the turn-by-turn navigation. I know another time I was dropping someone off, and it was kind of a weird situation because they were cross streets, but one of the streets was an overpass. And that's where it wanted me to go and drop the person off. Being unfamiliar with the area, I wasn't sure how to get down to the second level where they really wanted to be dropped off. Now, fortunately, the driver, or the rider rather, I was the driver, but the rider was very accommodating. They said, no, it's okay, drop me off here, because there was, some steps built into the hillside, and they said, we'll just walk down. But I don't think that's the service they expect. If I was a rider, it wouldn't be the service I would expect. And, it's all because the app did not recognize that there are multi-levels to roads, right? And that was part of the component of one of those scams that we talked about in the past, where they have multi-level pickup areas at airports, and on one level is departure and the other level is arrival, and that's how the scam would take place, right? Drivers would say, well, I was there, and it would look like they were there from the app, but the app does not have three-dimensional recognition. So anyway, I'm probably getting off on a tangent, but the point is, yeah, the better they can make the app, the better off we are. I get it. Recognize drivers who offer top-notch service. You want Uber to acknowledge the time and effort you put into providing quality, comfortable rides to your passengers. How is that going to happen? What are they going to base it on? Are they going to base it on ratings? Because if you do, I think some of the drivers that actually do provide the best service sometimes don't get the best ratings. Because what are they doing? They're picking up the drunks. They're picking up the obnoxious people. They're picking up people that have bad attitudes, and they are doing a top-notch job of managing the situation, getting people to where they want to go. But they don't always get acknowledged and recognized. I'll tell you what, it's a lot easier to get happy feedback and high ratings when you're working at all prime locations and just during happy time. Also, it says here the time and effort. Are they acknowledging that by time, really? So you're talking about people, maybe, the housewife and mother who is trying to bring in extra money for the family, and she might only drive 10 to 15 hours a week. But that is a very important cog in the Uber machine, those part-time drivers. And is she not getting recognized? I don't know the answer to these questions. I'm just asking them because they're the things that are popping into my mind. Because I do agree recognition's important for some people. Me, I could care less if I'm even on Uber's radar, which I'm sure I'm not. But what do I want? I want to get paid, right? That's what I want. I want good rides that I can pick up, drop off, and get my money and get on to the next ride. That's what I want. You have plenty more to share. Drivers know what works and what doesn't. And you want more opportunities to engage with Uber staff directly to share your experiences and feedback. That's it? 2 bullet points? They said making the driver experience smoother and getting recognition. I just really find this hard to believe. Now, I'm going to read 2 comments. Before I read the comments, I am going to have a little caveat here. I hear from people that say, Mark, you're starting to get sour, you're starting to get bitter. I hear other comments that say, who is this guy? He works for Uber. I don't know how it can be both. How can I be sour and bitter and angry on one end of the spectrum and be so accommodating and complimentary to Uber that I'm their shill on the other? I don't know how I can be both. All I can tell you is this. When I read these stories or when I comment on anything, all I can do is give my straightforward comment. Love it, hate it, I don't know what to tell you. But I know what I feel about this one. They have 3, maybe I just said 2, but there are 3 quotes here from attendees. So the first one, I assumed it was going to be a PR measure, but I was wrong. I could tell by the level of details we covered and the transcriptionists you guys had recording the meetings and topics. It really did show that those conversations matter to you as you continue building the platform. Okay, hold on to that one. Here's the next one. It was truly an eye-opening experience. It had me excited for the future. Excitement, enthusiasm, what I'm hearing here. The teams working up front and behind the scenes at Uber made me feel special. Okay, feelings, special feelings. Showed they genuinely cared what we drivers go through and that our opinions matter. Now, here are my thoughts on this. Please, I don't want this to sound like I'm casting aspersions, but here's what I'm going to use as an example. Remember Uberman? I don't know if he's doing Uber videos anymore. He went to flipping cars and that sort of thing. But when he had the Uberman channel, he got to go to New York, and suddenly he had stars in his eyes, and he was just so taken by the fact that he was invited somewhere. And he turned around 180 degrees. He was always very straightforward and opinionated and at times critical of Uber. And suddenly he went to that interview and it was like, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. And he was just really, it looked like he was kissing up. My opinion, all right? Now, after it was over, it sort of looked like he came to his senses, and then he had some, not quite a retraction video, but kind of an explanation. Well, it was their content, it was a sponsored video, and I get all that. But what I'm taking away from that is that enthusiasm and that excitement and that that feeling of being recognized and acknowledged and validated really goes towards a lot of people's opinions. Think about that. You're one of the few people in the whole country that are invited to one of these forums. Of course, you are going to be excited. Of course, and I'm reading these words here, right? You're going to feel special. But does excitement and feeling special transfer and translate into something really being done? Now I'm going to read the last sentence that came in this email. We're committed to taking the feedback we heard to improve the driver experience on both the national and local level. We want to keep hearing your feedback as we continue to build together. We will continue to host events to hear directly from partners, and always feel free to share feedback with any of us through the app. Now, what I hear from people is we're not being heard. When I call the helpline, I get stock answers. When I call the helpline, they repeat themselves over and over and over. That was my experience. I had a really legitimate complaint, and I don't want to keep going back to it and sound like a whiner, but it was so legitimate and 100% real. And it was just completely ignored. It was dismissed. So I think that this is exactly what this person in here said it was not, that it was going to be a PR measure. I think that's exactly what this is. It's designed to pacify drivers. If I were to ask every one of you, what's the one thing, that's how I started at the beginning of this video, that you want, I hear it over and over and over and over and over, money. What just happened over there in London? The Uber Eats drivers staged a protest. Why? Money. We don't feel we are being adequately compensated. Now, when I started, and I've only been driving 2 years now, and when I started, I know the compensation was far better. And it's not that you're getting paid more, but it's the way it was set up. For example, they didn't have the upfront pricing. They didn't, it was more a straight 20/80 or 25/75. Surges were working differently. I can still make good money, but I know when I started, that $200 came easier every day. The $200 came easier every day. I can still pull in, $1,000 or more a week without breaking a sweat, really. But I have to really work at it. I have to really understand the market. And as some of you know, I've been, practicing. I don't do everything that I try, and I don't put it on the video, but I try different things. For example, at the early morning, a lot of people comment to me on those early morning videos. Don't you know about the destination filter? Just set it for the... Yes, I know about the destination filter. You don't think I'm not setting that destination filter to the airport early in the morning? Of course I am. But it doesn't mean... It just means it takes you in that general direction. So if somebody is in the neighborhood going that general direction of the airport and it's only a ride that takes you 4 blocks, that's still going to send you there because it's going in that direction. Setting the destination filter to the airport that's 30 miles away doesn't mean the ping I get is going to be to the airport 30 miles away. That just isn't the way it works. So anyway, the thing I'm hearing from people is we want fair compensation. This is not addressing that. This is addressing recognizing drivers. What is that? That's a feel-good measure. That's exactly what these people were commenting on. You made me feel good. It was exciting for me. It's all about feeling, touchy-feely stuff. You've heard me say it before. When you work from emotions, you're not working logically. The people that and there might have been a lot of other people that didn't feel the same way. So of course, Uber is not going to print and publish their comments, right? But when you hear things like this, and it's all about feelings and emotions, you can be pretty sure that they are reaching you at a base level and not an intellectual level. Intellectually, we know what we want. We want fair compensation, fair payment. Now I'm going to say something that's going to surprise some of you. I have really been looking long and hard at driving because I'm starting to see where it's getting, as I said, more and more difficult, especially on the liability end. I'm really starting to wonder if it's reasonable for me to put myself at that risk, even though I'm properly insured and all that. But am I getting enough? As a part-time driver, it's really hard to justify the money we put into insurance and making sure that we're covered, and the money we make is not only covering our gas and our wear and tear on our vehicles and our time, but also covering that insurance. So those are some things that I'm looking at, and it's the things I don't hear in here. I'll tell you what, my 2 primary things, if I had 2 things, number 1, I want to get paid more. I have to get more money and fairer payment and compensation. And number 2, better insurance coverage. covering everything. Anytime that app is open, my private insurance should turn off and theirs should kick in, and it should be good. Those are the two primary things that I am wondering about. What do you think of this? You probably all got that email. What do you think about the driver advisory board? Do you think they're really listening to us? Do you think they're hearing the right things? Or do you think this is, in fact, a PR stunt? I would love to hear your thoughts. Leave it down below. As always, I love it when you comment. I love it when you share the videos, give me the thumbs up, and if you haven't already, especially when you subscribe. I'm Mark from Uber Hints.